So today I want to talk about the mindset shift that I had that was really a game changer for my own fitness journey. And I talk about this all the time with my clients, and my goal is just to make things a lot more simple overall. So I'm going to ask you a question that I ask to a lot of my clients. So if you had unlimited time, energy, motivation, resources, literally everything you needed to devote to your health and fitness routine, what do you think your life would look like? For example, like what would the 2.0 version of you be doing? A lot of us go through life thinking, if I had the time, I'd be doing this, or if I could afford it, I'd eat a ribeye steak every single meal. But another way to think of this is, if you had a big event that you were training for, like an ultra marathon, an Ironman, a bodybuilding competition, or just some big vacation, what would your training look like in that ideal world? So to further frame this, I want to tell you about my own mindset when I first started working out at the ripe age of like 13. So when I started, it was all self-taught. There was no one in my family that was into lifting, but I was very fortunate to have a very strong father figure that helped instill positive values in me. He basically told me I can do anything I set my mind to. And I definitely believed it, especially when I was a young, impressionable kid that thought my dad was the coolest person on earth. So I was like a 12-year-old David Goggins, not even kidding. I was so insecure that the pain of the reality of being skinny fat and nerdy and low confidence definitely had me dialed in. And truthfully, looking back, I think what I did was a bit disordered. Most people do HIIT workouts for like 20 or 30 minutes. I was doing them for like 60 minutes every single day. And that was on top of weight training workouts as well. And an extra hour of cardio if I feel like I ate too much. My mind was set on it, so I did it. So fast forward to my adult life, sometimes when I can't sleep, I like to think on some of the things and reflect that I've done in the past, not from like a frame of regret or anything like that, just to kind of chuckle on some of the things that I did and also kind of reflect and learn from them. So the point of this little story, I was not really thinking about rest time, optimal volume, none of that. 12 or 13-year-old Christian did not care. I was not allowing my body the substantial time to heal, and I probably wasn't building any extra muscle by really just pushing my body to the limits. And thinking back, I don't think it was about being healthy. I really do think it was about pushing myself to a point and proving to myself that I was capable of achieving what I wanted to achieve, pretty much. This was basically an exercise of self-confidence and self-esteem, not really making any gains. So circling back, there's a point to all this. Oftentimes when I think about our ideal fitness routine, it's usually pretty grueling and intense. Let me paint a better picture. A lot of people think that their ideal routine in a perfect world is waking up at 5 a.m., going on like a 5 or 6 mile run, going and lifting the heaviest weights, coming home, doing some stretching, yoga, or whatever you'd like. I'd wake up, be very productive, crush a good workout, go work for 8-9 hours, make $100,000 a day, hit the gym again. I have ideal water intake and a diet plan that I'd stick to perfectly, never veering from it, and so on and so forth. So if you put this all together, it is pretty extreme. Maybe you watched like Rocky Balboa, or you're into anime and you think you will have a physique that looks like a cartoon. But these routines are very time consuming and intense. So now for the mindset shift that I had that I try to instill in other people. So as you start taking your fitness journey more seriously, you'll start researching more, and you will eventually come to realize that a lot of these things are not necessary for optimal health, look, and performance in the first place. It is literally a fraction of what I just mentioned. If you actually think about what are my actual goals, the most common ones are pretty simple. It's like build muscle, lose fat, increase strength, increase mobility and flexibility, just feel better, and maybe improve your health. Of course, everyone has different goals, but it is most of the time some combination of these things. So if you simplify it this way, you can realize, okay, I don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. and run for 6 miles and do 2-a-day workouts if I simply want to be more flexible or just feel better. To back this up, there's plenty of research that you can gain muscle with as little as 1 set per body part per week. Literally, you can do that in like 2 minutes a week. And more realistically, if you do a full body routine a few times a week, that could seriously take you just 15 minutes. And that's just following the latest research on muscle growth. And sure, 3 sets to failure a week will make you grow. That is a fact. But if you consider the things I mentioned, 1 being the ideal fitness routine and like ideal life, and 2, your actual fitness goals, you realize that there is a little bit of a discrepancy. And mind you, this is just for the average person. You'll notice that what you think your ideal fitness and what your goals require are usually 2 very distinct processes. And in most cases, your fitness goals don't require as much time, energy, and motivation as you think. And I honestly think that a lot of this is caused by the media we consume. It's like the classic stories when we were young where the main character, kind of goes off and fights the villain and then goes through some huge, training montage of like some crazy conditions, and it's a big struggle. And then you may combine this with some random older guy or your uncle or something telling you that his arms were the size of cannons and he benched 600 when he was your age, in high school or however old you are watching this. And some of this may be perfectly true, not knocking that old guy. And some people may have done routines like this, but almost all the time, they're not doing it now. It was just not sustainable for them, and they eventually fell off. And that is why I think this mindset shift is important and why I'm even making this video in the first place. Because many of us do not think we are living our ideal life right now. And by ideal life, I mean more so like your ideal fitness life. This even happens to me. I think if I didn't have to work and manage a business and have all these responsibilities, I could spend more time on my fitness and I might look different, just for an example. So we start thinking this way and we have all built up this seemingly insurmountable mountain in our minds and all the possibilities that could come as a result of being stronger, more muscular, leaner, or more attractive, or whatever, adjective you want here. And it's great to have lofty goals, don't get me wrong. It is fine to train for hours a day if you enjoy it and it makes you feel better. But I think while considering this, you might have realized that realistically, you're not gonna achieve these crazy goals anytime soon. You're not gonna lose 50 pounds this month. You're not gonna build 50 pounds of muscle in the next 3 months. And as a result, we have created this huge barrier of entry in our minds to these massive goals and aspirations we have. And you're thinking that there is no way you can achieve it, that may be possible. It's like having your ideal job instead of your actual job. So instead of slowly building up skills that would give you your dream job, like learning how to make content, researching persuasion, or just taking like an advanced class or a course, instead there's a big gap in your mind where you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll have that someday, or maybe I'll live that sort of lifestyle. But what you don't realize is that most of the goals, like building muscle or losing fat, could actually be done literally in just a few minutes a day. So that is the mindset shift. When I stopped trying to do like 1,000 crunches or 1,000 push-ups a day, or 2 sessions a day, or fasted cardio for an hour, it kind of clicked. You didn't really need to do that. I didn't need to do that, neither do you. And don't get me wrong, I've tried a lot of crazy fitness routines in the past. Like I said, I was like a 12-year-old David Goggins. But when I stopped trying to pursue that and realized that it is exhausting both physically and mentally, I felt much better about what I was doing. When you start to realize that you don't need to spend all the time and you can craft the structured routine that actually builds you up towards your goals instead of breaks you down, makes you fall off and inconsistent, fitness becomes a lot more simple and actually enjoyable. And even with that, a lot more doable too. If it's a long day at work or at school and you didn't get enough sleep and you're like, dang, I just don't feel like doing an hour and a half in the gym, realize that 20 minutes, perhaps even 15 minutes, could be 90% of the results you want to see. So optimal volume for muscle growth is anywhere from 8 to 20 sets per muscle per week. And that is the number to get you to 99 to 100% of the gains that you can make. You will literally stimulate 90% of the gains with just a few sets per muscle per week. It is like a huge diminishing returns curve. Most people don't care to be the top 1% athlete or a stage lean bodybuilder who is competition ready all the time. If that is you, sure, take the extra 30 minutes to do that extra sets, but that's not everyone. They just want to look better and feel better, and that doesn't always require 100,000%. So by shifting your mindset of this, it is a lot more sustainable and attainable in the long run. You can have a healthy baseline routine that takes 20 minutes, and then bonus stuff that will be extra when you feel good and motivated, and you can scale it up, depending on how you're feeling that particular day. And of course, I do think that getting at least 120 minutes of exercise, particularly intense exercise, will be massively helpful, but life has seasons. One season may be focused on traveling. Another one may be focused on your career or business. Another, your fitness. So have something adaptable to all those seasons of life where you never actually fall off. Now you may be wondering which routine that is. And there is a point here where you may be expecting me to sell you a program. Yes, I do have a program. It is $100,000, but now I will give it to you $100,000 off. Just kidding, it's always free, always has been. So if you wanna message me routine on Instagram, I'll make sure to send it to you for free. No strings attached, don't worry. But I do want to emphasize one more thing. And that is the part where it can get a little bit more confusing. And while you may need much less than you think to progress in the gym, most of your results will become a result of your lifestyle, particularly managing sleep, nutrition, and stress. But luckily for you, that can be sustainable too. I think it's important to look at nutrition as like a pyramid. At the base of the pyramid is calories, the most important factor that will decide which direction you go. Next most important will be protein intake. Right here is honestly gonna be 90% of your progress, at least in terms of physique. Health is another topic. Eat a fruit and vegetable here and there, and you're mostly good to go. And again, there are variations and some things work better for others. And if you're really trying to get into optimization, then there are plenty of other layers to get into, and check out some of my later videos for that. For example, some of them are tracking, meal timing, nutrient density, lifestyle habits, just to name a few. But as for sleep, just improve your sleep hygiene, no overhead lights, chill for a little bit before bed, limit screen time, turn on the brightness on your phone too. All that stuff from some random podcast clip that you've probably seen on social media already. And with these, stress often falls in the right place as well. So really sit down and evaluate your goals. I thought in the past that I want a Ferrari. But do I really need a Ferrari? Is it that important to me for me to have a Ferrari? And it really isn't. It sounds cool, but it doesn't really resonate to what I actually care about and want to achieve in my life. And the same thing may be for you. You may have some arbitrary fitness goals that don't really matter and aren't that important to you. So think about that and what the process is to get there. Oftentimes it doesn't take as much as you think it does, just a little bit more of reworking of what you're actually doing and really improving the mindset behind it all. So with that said, I am looking for 5 more busy professionals looking to optimize their life. My goal is not to add things to your routine, but to optimize some of the things that you're already doing, just so you can see a better return on the time and effort that you may be putting in. We will focus on the 4 pillars of movement, nutrition, stress, and sleep. If this is you, feel free to click the link below to apply, and I'll catch you in the next video.